Today, I'm going to discuss something a little bit different. It's my journey from being a therapist, going to United Health Group, to being a successful entrepreneur working with animals and their people, which brings me immense joy and purpose every day, and how you can pursue your passion for working with animals as well. If you've ever considered leaving the corporate grind or exploring your career with animals, stick around. Welcome back to the Animal Intuitive channel, and if you're new here, we talk about animal communication and other forms of holistic pet care while supporting pet parents.
Come on, all you doggies, won't you walk with me? I'm the puppet dog.
And if you've ever been stuck in that situation, you think about working with animals, this is the episode for you. So remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. You'll be updated about upcoming episodes. Recent events have highlighted the challenges in the healthcare industry, which kind of led me to this topic. But I've been wanting to talk for a while about how I got to where I am and talk about being a therapist. That's something that some people kind of see the connection between being an animal communicator and a counselor, and there's a little bit of crossover. And before we dive in, I do just want to mention that everything I'm about to say, by mentioning the recent tragic event involving United Health Group CEO Brian Thompson, I do not condone any form of violence or harm against others, regardless of their position, the company they work for. This incident is a stark reminder of the complex issues surrounding healthcare insurance providers in our country. Violence is never the answer. And the views and opinions expressed in this video are for entertainment purposes only. They are only my perspectives. They do not represent the United Health Group or any other company. It should not be considered professional advice. And to give you a little bit of background, I worked at United Health Groups after working in various mental health roles. I started off in the New York City foster care system. As you can imagine, that was baptism by fire. I was working with children also with serious mental illnesses in lower New York, Westchester County, and a few other things I did along the way. And then I worked as a therapist in a trauma and abuse program for children and adults. And that was it was fulfilling, but it could also be extremely stressful. My first position with United Health Group, when I made this step over, was in a call center working with people who were getting counseling. We were talking about their mental health and their mental health benefits. I remember the first day going to the training with this group of new hires. It was our training day one. We all were sort of lured in because when we were being vetted and doing the interview process, they told us how wonderful the benefits were, which when we got there, we realized they were far from great. They're pretty much what everyone pays, very high deductibles, they were not great. And I remember thinking, this is bizarre, and we were all thinking the same thing. This is a health benefits company. Shouldn't the benefits be amazing? And that's sort of what we had the impression of coming into it. At least we had benefits. So now there are a lot of positive aspects. Sometimes it can be very stressful when you go to a place like United Health Group. They offer opportunities to just sort of step out of that pressured role of having tons of clients and the pressure of clients who you may be dealing with hospitalizations and things like that. And just some of especially in trauma and abuse, you're dealing with some really difficult things. I was also working with offenders, and that can also be very stressful. So going into United Healthcare, it was like, okay, you get to kind of sit behind this wall, you get a break from the direct work, and the pay is better usually. So there's things that kind of pull you in, and also there's opportunities for professional growth. If you really want to climb that corporate ladder, you might find that there works well for you. Also, working along with other mental health professionals, often you do make good friends. There's really good people in the world of counselors and mental health. And I also had some excellent supervisors along the way. However, I will say that the quality of management can vary significantly, and I did find that at that company. There were some challenges with company policies too. In my mind, I had some sort of internal conflict where I would see these like restrictions on benefits and the protocols that were set up for what care people could receive. And I'm going to be careful about exactly what I say here, but essentially what I'm saying is that from my perspective, I felt that ultimately they could have had a better situation or setup. And that ultimately, potentially, when you do things right to start with, you don't end up with bigger problems in the long run. So I had some frustration there because it's such a big company. Sometimes the information that would sort of trickle down from the upper management all the way down to us little guys, there could be confusion about goals, and things could change very frequently. And you sort of wouldn't know why, because you're not in that upper echelon of the company. So the one thing I will say is that for the most part, you can leave it behind at the end of the day. Unlike sometimes being a therapist, especially working in community mental health, that could be very difficult to leave behind at the end of the day. And so working for a company like UnitedHealthcare did offer that. It gave me the flexibility to do what I needed to do to build my business a little bit more than when my energy was so drained being a therapist working in trauma and abuse. This is the part I'm going to talk a little bit more about becoming a counselor. If you want to go to the next section. If you're considering a career being a therapist, I'm a licensed clinical social worker. There's different types of degrees you can get. Obviously, you can be a PsyD or a psychologist, PhD, psychologist. There's different things you can do to get into the field. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. There was a real mix of feelings about that when I was really heavily into it, doing the face-to-face client work. Now I do coaching. So I do neuro-based coaching, and I'm not doing therapy, so to speak. So I don't use my license. I maintain my license. And of course, because of the training I've had, it helps me in my work. But I do things like hypnosis and brain spotting. It's a little bit like EMDR, but different. I focus on performance-based clients, people who are looking to improve their ability to do things involving performance work, but also it helps with my clients who are wanting to advance as animal communicators, and also people who just work with animals in different fields. So anyway, you get to help people obviously overcome obstacles. You get to witness personal growth for yourself too. You're always learning. So that can be very fulfilling. If you're someone who likes to learn, that can be a great part of being a therapist. And also, obviously, you can specialize in various areas like trauma or family therapy. There's opportunities in private practice that often can pay a little bit more. There are online platforms too now that really can help you grow that business and work from home at a distance. The challenges, of course, is that, to make enough money to, depending on your situation. When I went to United Health Group, I was single, and it was something that was a great opportunity because I didn't have someone helping me out. So it was a great opportunity. But if you're working as a therapist alone, you're going to need to work relatively consistently every day, a lot of hours probably, in order to make enough to live on, depending on where you live in the country. It's far better, however, what you're going to make per hour compared to maybe a community mental health program. The paperwork in a community mental health setting can be really challenging. It can be very overwhelming, and the caseloads can just be very high. It can also be a little isolating if you're a therapist on your own, but you can join groups, consult groups, and things like that, and that can help. And it doesn't hurt to also have a supervisor that you can consult with on difficult cases. If you're considering also going to graduate school to become a counselor, think about the student loan aspect before you jump into it. There's been a lot of talk about student loans. People have become a little bit more smart about them as time has gone on. Just know that once you have them, it can be challenging to change paths. And I attended New York University for graduate school in social work. And I went to another college before that, a private school for criminal justice. So I needed to take out some loans. And I was working full time when I went to graduate school. And I had scholarships too, but I still had to take out loans. And that's one of the more expensive schools to go to. In retrospect, my advice would be to really consider the long term when considering the cost of the graduate school that you're going to, and if it's worth it to you to go. Really weigh it. If you're looking at certain schools and you can't get into one of the less expensive ones, there's one in New York City, Hunter, that is a very low, much lower rate than some of the others, but it's very hard to get into. So you have to think about that and the long term and the stress that comes along with this field over time. Is it something that you're going to be able to maintain, and are you going to want to be doing it for a very long time if you have a lot of student loans to pay off? And you have to stick with it. Although I think sometimes if you're extremely passionate about something, it doesn't matter. You know that you're going to be in it for the long haul. So just something to think about, the salary potential, and also what kind of work you want to do. So if you have your heart set on doing some kind of community mental health, you might want to look in. There are some things now sometimes where you can get some sort of relief for student loans because you're working in the community, but that's something to think about. A lot of work goes into it. I earned my license in New York, and then I moved to New Jersey and transferred it. And you can do that state to state. Sometimes it's easier depending on the state you're going to, if they'll accept it. In New Jersey, you need to complete, this is just an example, 3,000 hours of supervised clinical experience within 2 to 4 years after earning your master's in social work in order to take the state licensing exam. And then you have to take that exam and pass it, of course. And you need that license in order to bill insurance companies, for instance. So keep that in mind. So you also have to keep in mind that you have to do continuing education credits every 2 years to renew your license. And so this is all, money that goes into these things. So if you're thinking about maybe even having a private practice, you got to pay for insurance. Some of these programs I referred to, they cost money. Although they may be very helpful, they do cost money to do the distance from homework and help you with your insurance and paperwork and getting clients and things like that. You've got to pay to renew your license every 2 years, and you've got to pay for those continuing ed credits. So really consider your personality, your temperament, your stress tolerance when you think about going into the field, because you're going to be working with individuals who are facing significant emotional challenges. Most people have had some kind of trauma in their life, and it's just probably going to come up at some point in the work that you're doing. So that adds to sometimes the stress that you're dealing with as the therapist. If you're, for instance, a very empathic person, that can be a wonderful quality, but it can also be challenging when dealing with other people's emotional issues. And when you are a small business owner, you may find that it is challenging to pay for healthcare. It's not cheap. Share plans are an option if you're thinking about going into your own business and you're not sure how to do that. Sometimes share plans can be an option. They're a little bit less expensive, but you really need to look deep into them and make sure they're going to cover what you need. So throughout my journey, I did develop invaluable skills along the lines of active listening, problem solving. These skills translated beautifully into my work with animals and their people. And, just the ability to sense what a client isn't expressing verbally in therapy. You really hone that skill. And that directly relates to the work I do as an animal communicator. So I'm glad that I have that background. It has helped me in the work that I do, working with people and animals. It's helped me be a better business person and relate to people better and deal with people better. And that's a part of working with animals that people sometimes forget, is that most of the animals you're working with, if you're going to be having your own private business working with animals, is you're going to be working with people. So that's something to think about if you're going to think about working with animals and opening up a business. But there are opportunities that I want to talk to you about. I'm a telepathic animal communicator, which means I understand what animals are thinking and feeling. It's something that I have been doing professionally for over 20 years, and I've been teaching it for over 20 years. And I am also a nationally board certified animal acupressure and massage practitioner. It's incredibly fulfilling to actively contribute to animals' health and their wellness, and through to help the pet parents through different aspects of their pets' lives. And I love teaching people and helping them to learn. That actually brings me to an announcement. I am now providing in-person animal acupressure retreats. I have joined the team of some guests that we've had on the show in the past. Tallgrass Animal Acupressure Resources. They have been around for a very long time. They are internationally known. And now Tallgrass Animal Acupressure Resources has joined forces with Crowning Touch hands-on curriculum. Now that is related to Lori Perez, who's been on the show about a year ago. She did an equine episode that was fantastic. And I'm going to be the team lead on the East Coast and doing a hands-on curriculum that the two integrate seamlessly. So Tallgrass is now doing, Amy and Nancy have their Tallgrass online program, and Crowning Touch is the hands-on and the Tallgrass Animal Acupressure resources. They've set the standard for the excellence in animal acupressure education for decades now, and this is wonderful that all of this has come together now, and I am very honored to have been asked to be part of the team. So you can actually take this class, which is the Canine and Small Animal Foundation class. And if you're interested in a career working with animals, this will be part of the steps that you take to getting your national board certification in acupressure. So that's called the Canine and Small Animal Foundation Acupressure Retreat. It's being held on February 22nd and 23rd, 2025 in Florham Park, New Jersey. So for more information, you can go down to the link for my website, Intuitive Touch Animal Care. And when you go there, you can find out more about the class, or I'll just have a direct link to the class information down there as well. And if you're interested in equine too, check out Lori's website. I'll have that down there too, Crowning Touch. I'll have some information down there because she is doing the Equine Foundations class that same weekend, February 22nd and 23rd. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more content like this, and share your thoughts in the comments below. I'm wondering if any of you out there are thinking about making a similar transition, if you're trying to get out of corporate America, or if you're trying to get into being a therapist. I'd love to hear your stories. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless you and your animal family members.
Listen close. Rub my belly. Rub my belly.